Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome into the show. Yet another episode of Crushing Fantasy Football. I am Bryce Lockridge, your host of the show. All right, guys, football season is pretty much here. I mean, training camp has started. We got coverage of training camp, fans at training camp. We got preseason games starting early next month. I'm excited. I know you guys are as well. So for today's video, I want to give you guys my list of must-own quarterbacks. Now, these are guys that I think are going to be legitimate league-winning quarterbacks, and a lot of them come at a great value. So I'm going to start right here with the first player on my list, and that's Justin Herbert. Now, this is a guy who somehow finished as the quarterback 11 last year, but was second in the league in passing yards with 4,700 plus passing yards on the season. And a big reason why he didn't turn out super awesome fantasy production is because, well, he wasn't running the ball at all. He didn't have any rushing touchdowns, literally zero. He only had 3 carries within the red zone, so he didn't really have a lot of opportunities to score on the ground. He wasn't running a lot, mainly because of his rib injury. But you look at this offense, I mean, his weapons were banged up all season long, right? Keenan Allen was banged up. Mike Williams was banged up. They both missed significant time, and he still passed for 4,700 yards. Now they add Quentin Johnston. Quentin Johnston is balling out in camp. Just imagine the passing total upside for Justin Herbert with all 3 of his main passing weapons healthy and a good pass catching back out of the backfield in Austin Eckler. The sky is the limit for this offense, and I wouldn't be surprised if they were the highest scoring offense in football. I wouldn't be surprised if he passed for more than 5,500 yards this season, and he is a quarterback that can run the ball. He's got elite size, very good speed. His first 2 seasons, he combined for 8 rushing touchdowns. So this dude can provide rushing touchdown upside as well. So make sure to draft Justin Herbert this season. He's coming at a great value. If you want to skip out on the early quarterbacks because you're drafting running backs and wide receivers, like I prefer to do, go ahead and grab Justin Herbert in the middle rounds. He's an absolutely smash play for the middle rounds. Next player on my list is going to be Justin Fields. Now, this is a guy who is about to absolutely explode. He's going to be one of the biggest league winners in all of fantasy. If he was the points leader in all of fantasy, I wouldn't be surprised. Look, this dude obviously has elite rushing upside. We saw it last season. He set the record for most rushing yards in a game. This dude was averaging like 7.5 yards a carry. The dude is an absolute monster with his legs, as we know, and his arm talent is slept on. I mean, this is a dude who has a monster arm. He now has a legitimate wide receiver 1 in DJ Moore to throw the ball to. I mean, the dude was running for his life last season, right? The offensive line was terrible. He didn't really have any receiving weapons. His best wide receiving option was Darnell Mooney. You can't really run an elite offense when your best wide receiver weapon is Darnell Mooney. Not any knock on Darnell Mooney, but DJ Moore is a true wide receiver 1. This is going to help Justin Fields tremendously. If the dude passed for 28 to 30 touchdowns, I wouldn't be surprised whatsoever. The dude is probably going to have significantly more passing yards than he did last season as well, and we know what kind of rushing upside he provides. If he led the league in rushing touchdowns, I wouldn't be surprised whatsoever. This dude's about to explode. The Bears' offense is about to explode. Justin Fields is a must-own quarterback. You can get him in round 5 as opposed to round 2 where you have to get, Jalen Hurts and Josh Allen. So Justin Fields is an absolute must-own quarterback. Next player on my list is going to be DeShaun Watson. Now, this is a guy who, you look at his seasons in Houston, right? Every single season in Houston where he played a full season, he was a top 5 fantasy quarterback in fantasy points per game. This isn't a system that provided him absolutely no help. All he really had was DeAndre Hopkins. And as great as DeAndre Hopkins is, and especially was in his prime, he was still the only weapon in the offense, right? It wasn't a good system. It wasn't a good football team. DeShaun Watson made that football team good. Now you put him in a system that is loaded with offensive weapons. Nick Chubb in the backfield, by far and away a better offensive line than he's ever played for. Elijah Moore, Amari Cooper, Donovan Peoples-Jones, an elite pass-catching tight end, and David Njoku. This offense is loaded. If you think that DeShaun Watson was good before in that Houston offense, just wait until you see how good he is in this Browns offense. We're already seeing it in training camp. And a lot of people are basing things on what they saw late last season. Look, DeShaun Watson didn't get to practice with the team. Okay, during his suspension, not only was he not playing with the team, he wasn't practicing with the team. Thus, wasn't able to really get live reps and learn the playbook, in a live format, right? He probably was studying the playbook, but it doesn't mean that he was able to get on the field and practice with the team. And so that caused him to not look very good. I mean, the dude hadn't played football in 2 years. He steps onto the field with a team that, he hasn't been practicing with at all. And, you can't really expect him to do well in that situation, right? It's pretty much impossible. With an entire offseason to work with the team, with an entire training camp to work with the team, learn the playbook, all these offensive weapons, this dude's about to absolutely explode. The only reason why he's being drafted lower than he should be is because people are inclined to recency bias. They haven't seen him go off in a while, and so they're drafting all the quarterbacks that they've seen perform recently ahead of him. But this is absolute nonsense. This dude has the upside to be the quarterback 1. He could easily be the biggest league-winning player in all of fantasy, considering the fact that you could get him in round 7 and sometimes even round 8 or 9, depending on what draft you're in. Draft DeShaun Watson. This dude's going to win leagues. Don't let anyone tell you to avoid DeShaun Watson because of what you saw last year. That doesn't mean anything. This dude's about to explode. He's going to be one of the biggest league winners in all of fantasy. Next must-own quarterback on my list is going to be Russell Wilson. Now, I don't understand why people think that this dude has just lost it. He had one bad season. Okay, you look at pretty much any quarterback, even quarterbacks with a Hall of Fame career. Every quarterback's had 1 or 2 bad seasons. It happens to every quarterback, and you can pretty much chalk it up to coaching. I mean, Nathaniel Hackett was one of the worst head coaches I've ever seen. This Broncos offense was a mess. Javonte Williams, he had the torn ACL early in the season. This team was fumbling at the goal line every other game. It was just a fluky bad season for the team. You now add offensive weapons, right? Remember, Tim Patrick tore his ACL last season, was out for the year. You have Tim Patrick, who is what a lot of people think is the best wide receiver in this offense. Earlier in the offseason, they were saying that, Tim Patrick could be the wide receiver 1 for this team. So you had a tremendously talented wide receiver in Tim Patrick out for the season, right? So you were left with Cortland Sutton and Jerry Jeudy. The offense still should have been good, but for whatever reason, they just couldn't really get it together. A lot of it was because of coaching. And when a team starts to spiral in a downward direction, it gets in everybody's head, and then they start playing even worse, and it's kind of a domino effect. And that's just how the NFL works. These people are human, and when things start to go wrong, you can just kind of lose your confidence. But with the better coaching staff led by Sean Payton, with the addition of Marvin Mims, with a healthy Tim Patrick, I don't see why this offense should not absolutely explode. They've got some of the most talented offensive pieces in the entire NFL. The only reason that people are drafting Russell Wilson low is because of what they saw last year. This is how you get an edge in fantasy, is by drafting bounce-back players because they always come at the best value. This dude's being taken super late in drafts, and he could end up being your quarterback 1. So you can draft the quarterback early if you want to, or in the middle rounds if you want to. Pair him up with Russell Wilson. Russell Wilson could end up outperforming your starter. All righty, guys. Yeah, that's going to be it. Those are my 4 must-own quarterbacks for the season. They all come in at awesome value, and they have league-winning upside. All right, guys. Peace out.